Hello, this is the front desk.
Good morning and welcome to episode 81 of the Cracking Bags podcast with your hosts, Dr. Terry Wyman and Dr. Spencer Barron. How you doing this morning, guys?
Good, Lance.
I'm doing great, Lance.
That's great to hear. So today we are joined yet again by Navy SEAL Monty Heath. How you doing this morning,
Great.
Monty?
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man.
It's great to hear.
Yeah, here's Spencer and I. We don't want to overtalk each other when we say hello, and here we do it every time. All right, buddy. Welcome back. Hey, welcome back. I need to ask you something right off the bat. When you were a Navy SEAL, did you ever think you would be riding across the entire country in Lycra?
No, and no. It took me quite a while to get used to the spandex of cycling. But now I'm all about it, and I wear it around here all the time, and I have no F's to give.
You're probably wearing Lycra right now because we can't see below
Not
the
at this
waist.
moment.
Don't stand up.
Yeah.
Don't stand up.
Not at this moment, but I'll get back to it later today.
Oh my God.
Any of your SEAL team members, want check you out and all that Lycra, and just go.
I used to make fun of guys that would do this stuff, right? Like, I don't even know. It's kind of like might get canceled for even saying it, but I used to call them trifagolites, right? But I finally, after like 46 and a half laps around the sun, I finally realized that yes, humans need cardio, and I'm gonna do some cardio, and cycling is my jam because running is just too much pounding.
Yeah, well, I gotta know. Did you take it to the Navy SEAL level and at least camouflage your Lycra? Did you just put a little?
Oh, I've got some different outfits. Yeah. I've got cami armbands. Have you seen the Lycra? I don't even know if it's Lycra, but the armbands.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of armbands. I got desert camo and dark camo and like winter camo, and I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I gotta know if you at least put it out there. And you had to make it your own. You can't just wear flat camo. You had to.
Yeah, and I always rock American socks, American flag socks that come up almost to my knees.
Oh, wait! I'm getting this visual of you with Lycra and knee socks. As a cyclist, that just doesn't. Flow.
I mean, I maybe like half calf. They come up like half calf, but yeah, okay. They're amazing.
All right, I'll let you have that. Hey,
Man.
Looking back, and we'll get into your new love of training people, but looking back as an athlete with this RAAM, which is Race Across America, going from the West Coast to the East Coast, did you train the right way, or do you think you would have done something different?
No, I trained my rear off. I trained the right way, and I trained my butt off. I put in like 4,600 miles in 11 months. I only did one 100 miler, which most of my friends probably said I should have done like 6 or 8 of them. But what I realized on the 100 miler is it's not physical, it's mental. And I quite honestly, I don't need the mental aspect of it. So in other words, you do 60 miles, that's like 3 hours. You do 80 miles, it's like 4 hours. The last 20 miles is not any harder than any of the other 60 or 80. It's just like another hour on the bike.
Right. Wow. And you were doing more sprints for over a week. You're more high intensity stuff. You weren't sitting there just grinding away.
No,
That's a totally different thing.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to say sprinting because to me sprinting is like 100%. But it was definitely, for me, it was around 95% to a little bit more than that of FTP, functional threshold power, like basically the power you can hold for an hour.
Right.
If it was just a day's race, everybody would have gone even faster, but you do have to hold back a little bit at the beginning just so you know that you've got something left in day 4, 5, 6, and 7.
For somebody maybe listening to think about doing it for the first time, is there anything you would have done different?
There's nothing I would have done differently. No, but I got a good look at it first, right? So the year before I was crew.
Okay.
So I did a 1 year basically workup and trained for it as crew. Made friends with the riders, know the riders, talk with the riders, watch them ride the race the whole time. And so I had a real good understanding of what that race was about, and I wasn't really surprised by anything because I had done it as crew. And so I knew what to train for. I trained for it. I didn't use a coach. I probably could have used a coach, but I basically coached myself, and thankfully I have good discipline at least, so I can do what I say I'm going to do, at least physically.
So, Monty, speaking of coaching, I understand that you are coaching others now.
I started about a month ago, so it's brand spanking new for me. And I came to first of all, I'm almost 47, and I really don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Let's just set the bar there. And about a month ago, I was like, I think I want to coach. I want to coach people. And I hate the word life coach. I go with performance coach because I think I can help anybody perform better. Why do I think that, or how do I think that? Just basically taking the very basics of the SEAL teams and how we train and applying them to anything, which is nothing secret. It's basically look at everything you need to do during your event, whether that's a dance recital or a piano recital or shooting guns or a sales call. Break down all the things that you can work on, right? All the controllable variables and skills and strategies and mindsets. Make a plan to train to that, train to it, do it, and then do an after action review of yourself. I think that's what a lot of people skip, especially when we succeed. Like sports teams, when they succeed, they don't really dig into what they did wrong. The best teams, though, do dig into what they did wrong, even after a win. So anyway, so take that and basically apply it onto anybody. So I get a hold of these people, we get on the phone, we start with SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-orientated, and get them moving action steps towards those goals. So I'm digging it. I just picked up my first person who's blind like 2-3 days ago. And that's awesome because I used to be a blind ski instructor and adaptive level 2 ski instructor. So yeah, I'm digging it. I've got 5 people, and I need more. I want to get up to I don't know. I guess I can. A good buddy of mine, Morgan Latimer, who was also on the RAAM race. He's a coach. He keeps 30 to 40 athletes at a time, and I think that's a good number.
Good goal.
That's awesome.
Hey, Terry, I think we should hook up Monty with our mental skills guest that we had, Will Lesner. He does he actually used to do mental skills coaching or for the military, and then he transitioned to the New York Mets for baseball, and now he's with the LA Angels. And man, our interview with him was fantastic. We should hook you guys up because you're very mind oriented. I think that you would get along in that conversation. Who knows? Maybe that might be what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Yeah, please do hook me up with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you learned and what you experienced in the military, how would you apply that in your life or even with coaching? You obviously have it in your soul. What would that be like when you're coaching somebody?
Yeah, I think the military nails most of it, most aspects of it. Probably what I am going to insert and have already inserted is emotional intelligence, something that I picked up later in life. Was not high on the emotional intelligence scale earlier on, right? I don't even think I heard the word empathy until I was 35 years old. And so just get that in there, right? So I'm not get in your face, screaming, spitting, veins popping, you do this and you do that stuff actually makes me giggle and laugh a little bit. Some people love it. Some people need it. Some people, that's their jam. Good on them. But yeah, I'm much more about talking and why do you want to do this? I don't need to scream at you. If you have a strong enough why, you will endure the how. And that's really what it's about. If you have a weak why, like I was talking to one of my my guys, clients or friends or whatever they're called, the other day, and he wants to be a SEAL. I think he's going to be a SEAL or try out for it. And he asked me, he's like, when you're in buds and everybody is quitting around you, like, what are you saying to yourself? What is going on inside your head? What is the internal chatter sound like? And for me, there never really was any internal chatter in terms of quitting or almost quitting or any of that, because I had a strong why. My why was solid. There was no plan B. This is exactly what I wanted to do. The only thing I wanted to do. I saw myself as a SEAL even before I went through training. I just needed to jump through the hoops and check the blocks and do whatever they told me to do to get there. So, yeah, I know I went all over the place there, but it's really cool to impart knowledge on people. And I learned everything kind of the hard way, right? Like I made a lot of mistakes. I don't tend to take advice. I don't tend to learn from others. I have to step on it myself, screw up, and learn things kind of the hard way. So it's nice to be able to transfer some of those things over to people in the hopes that they don't have to learn things the hard way.
But don't you? Sometimes the hard way is a great way because it just it locks it in.
It's been great for me, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's the easiest route in life, right? Like here's a silly example. Not too long ago, my 16-year-old said he was going to do 1,000 calf raises, and I was like, okay, well, how many calf raises have you been doing? And he's like, well, 0. I'm like, well, you probably don't want to go from 0 calf raises to 1,000 calf raises. I just don't think that's going to work out for you, buddy. He's like, well, I'm doing it. He got to like 650, and then like he couldn't walk his calves were messed up for like a week. So like that's a good example of sort of like, you know, listening to somebody who knows a little bit more about the body and how it works and how it doesn't work, rather than, you know, you experimenting on yourself.
Oh, that's great. So now, I don't think the listening audience really has a grasp on what a race across America feels like or looks like. Yeah. Tell me, what was the hardest part in that whole course, and what were you saying to yourself, since emotional quotient is such an important aspect of the game for you?
Yeah. So first of all, I was on an 8-person team. Okay. That's very important to know. An 8-person relay team, which is the largest team that does it. So it's the easiest division of a super hard race. Okay. There's the 8-person, the 4-person, the 2-person, and the 1-person. So I say that to say like the 8-person was kind of easy for me because I trained for it. But I know the 4-person would have kicked my rear. The 2-person is ridiculous. And solo is just bonkers beyond bonkers, right? Okay. So 8-person team. We start out in Oceanside, California. We started at like 12:30 p.m. So we started on the boardwalk. Everybody starts together. It's a parade start. And it's slow, and like they don't even allow you to go fast. They make you go slow. So you go slow out of there, and then you go like 4 or 5 miles pretty slow again. Like they want teams to keep the spread. And then it begins, and one of our rider goes for a ways, and then we just rotate like every 15 minutes. So we had 2 teams of 4. We had 4 for 12 hours and 4 for 12 hours. I was on the noon to midnight shift, and we got in the van, which is like a large Sprinter van. It's got bike racks on the back, and your rider would be out on the road, and we would get in front of them, pull over, get the bike out ready, the human out ready, and transition, and do that over and over and over for 12 hours until the other team relieved us. They did it for 12 hours, and then we just kept doing it. It took us 7 days, 8 hours, and 55 minutes. I would say the hardest time for me was probably like day 2 or 3. I kind of forget, where it was so cold and I didn't have any of my cold stuff. All of my cold stuff, which I had on the race, was conveniently in my bag in another vehicle, not attainable. And most people did this too, because we were just getting baked in the sun going through California and Arizona. So anyway, Cold temperatures at high speeds, especially going down hills at high speeds, is super cold. That having said, I grew up in New Hampshire. I grew up in New England. The cold doesn't bother me that much. I'd much rather be cold than overheating.
Yeah. Jeez. Woo.
That's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
Hey, on that note, you trained as a SEAL, so basically, and then you went high up in that SEAL culture, and so you transformed from a killing machine, and now you're trying to help people, and that's got to be a totally different mental switch that you have to do. And how did you learn how are you learning how to make that mental transformation?
Yeah, I don't remember if we talked about this the last time I was on here. We probably did. I probably touched on it, but I had a real big shift. About 9 years ago when I started all this nonprofit work, and it started with Special Olympics skiing. So I was a volunteer Special Olympics ski instructor, and I was working with people, specifically this girl named Maria. She had Down syndrome. She's still up there. I saw her a couple of years ago, and that sort of shifted me from a person that wanted to hurt people to a person that wanted to help people. Actually, right? Like I had some anger growing up, and I liked bar fights and fist fighting and all that kind of stuff, and punching people, and so did all my friends. Coincidentally enough, I guess that's how I chose them. But then I got to that Special Olympics environment, and I was like, well, who's taking care of these kids with Down syndrome? And yeah, I guess it's cool that me and all my friends can do all these things, but who's like taking this girl skiing? Like, if I don't take her skiing, is anybody going to take her skiing? Like, how can she feel included and be inclusive? And so anyway, that started to get the ball rolling, and I switched from that to helping veterans, and that's kind of where I've been the last 9 years. Veterans with PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, military sexual trauma, just people, and first responders now. So now I've done 2 events for first responders. I did about 8 years with just veterans. Last year's Navy SEAL swim in the Hudson. It's a 3.5 mile swim up in the Hudson River. That was my first event with that benefits first responders. And then this Race Across America was the second one when we were doing our team Aligned Alliance chose this nonprofit Guardian Revival to be the recipient of whatever monies we raised. So this organization does veterans and serves veterans and first responders. So I think that's nice. First responders are the same type of people, right? Running towards the gunfire, towards the fire, towards the mangled people in a car crash and babies and everything else. And those people deserve our respect and our help as well.
Absolutely. And on that note, you did, when you were in combat, your conversations are very specific. They're very goal oriented. They're very tactical oriented. And being a cyclist who had been on a bike for long periods of time, your brain kind of wanders and you talk differently. But you're going 24/7 on this Race Across America, to go back to that a little bit, because a lot of people still have no idea what Race Across America is. And they watch it for 30 seconds and go, oh, that's kind of cool. But they don't realize you're going hardcore for 24/7 for a week. And so what is some of your best conversations that come to your mind that came out, especially when you're tired, when it's late at night? What are some of the best conversations that came out?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know about the best conversations, but you started with this with the SEAL teams in the military, and the thing about military comms is they're short and sweet. Like, we use like pro words, right? Like, you're not on the radio reading a paragraph. You're on the radio saying like contact left or contact third floor right window or whatever it is. It's super short. Because of what you're saying, because when the chaos is turned up, when people are tired, when you're hungry, when you've been shot at, when you're disorientated, all those things, like, you don't need to be hearing somebody read the encyclopedia to you. You just need a couple quick answers, a couple quick words to get you moving. And those couple of words mean things. So that's the military. Back to the bike. We had pretty good comms. Our comms were pretty good. We kept a radio in our back pocket. We did have an earpiece if we wanted it. I never hooked it up, but our crew could talk to us at least one way. And if I wasn't flying down a mountain or something, I'd reach back and grab it and talk to him. But I think the best conversations I had were the internal ones. I actually cried a couple times just internally on my bike, just thinking to myself, thinking about things, thinking about life, thinking about how I went from zero biking to racing across the country in 11 months. And so, yeah, I had some good internal conversations. I had a lot of time out there to be with my own thoughts, and it's all pretty much good.
What about some of the times off the bike? Some of the best conversations, sharing experience in the van.
We had a lot of time in the van. It was a pretty wonderful time. We had an awesome team. We had incredible crew. We had incredible riders, and one guy on my team really surprised me and others, and we gave him the MVP because he was just so unassuming. If you looked at him physically, you just your eyes would go elsewhere. He doesn't suck up all the oxygen in the room or kind of have a commanding presence, right? But the guy was amazing. He never complained. He just started riding pretty recently himself, and he's turned 60 on the ride. And so he was just, it was impressive to see people that have no military training and hadn't been through SEAL training. See, I went through all this training. I had such a gigantic hand up. Like, none of this was difficult for me. Lack of sleep was nothing new to me. Working out for 3 hours a day, nothing new to me. So none of this was anything new to me, and I'd done it for crew. But there were people that hadn't done it for crew, hadn't been in the military, hadn't been in the SEAL teams, hadn't done anything extraordinarily hard before, maybe except like an Ironman, which is really only a 12-hour event, and see those people crush it, I thought was awesome.
That's always fascinating. I've run some half marathons, that's it, but it's always fascinating to see people that are older than you, that are much heavier than you, and they just blow right by. I go, wow. You look at it, it's very inspiring because they're completely unassuming. So that's a pretty cool story.
Our bodies adapt to what we do, right? Yeah. And I don't run at all, but if I had to train for a marathon, I'd run a mile and that'd get easy, and then 3, and then 5, 7, 10, 13, 15, 18, 20. And you just, when you do it, it gets easier and easier and easier. The only reason cardio doesn't get easier, in my opinion, is because I just go faster, right? Like, if you can ride your bike at 20 miles an hour, that's great. But if you can go 25, why not go 25 and just go faster and faster and faster? But the point is the body adapts, and whatever we do, it's going to adapt. And if really, age matters in terms of recovery, because your testosterone's a little bit lower, but it doesn't really matter that much. And there's like a 90-year-old nun that's doing Ironman, full length Ironmans,
Unbelievable. So speaking
how does she do it with the whole the dress thing?
Yeah, I got a joke, but it's an off-air joke.
Yeah, we gotta be careful.
Yeah.
I'm not careful. I'll say stupid things.
No.
So let me, Monty, speaking on that, what did you guys do for nutrition and, muscle soreness? I mean, did you follow any guidelines that were personal or that everybody did?
Yeah, we got nutrition nailed down pretty well. We got sponsored by some various companies that gave us products. Rye Waddington, one of the riders on our team, is a chef and an executive chef, and runs 20 restaurants down on this golf course. So he was one of the riders. So he prepared some stuff beforehand. We had these clean eats meals during the way that we could microwave. We all had our own personal on the bike nutrition, or you could use what was sponsored. But on the bike nutrition is pretty personal. It's a lot of salt. I take 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium every hour on the bike.
Oh, interesting.
And nutrition is obviously part of it when you're out there for 15 minutes at a time. So I guess I didn't talk about this. So basically, during the 12 hours, us 4 would do 15-minute rotations-ish. which means basically you're just doing 15 minutes on the hour every hour for like 12 hours. So you really have like 45 minutes off. And in that time is when you need to eat and drink and keep the fluids rocking, especially out west where it's crazy hot.
All right. Okay, so Monty, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions. You have the answers, but let's see how fast you can come up with them. And
Okay.
you ready? It's nothing incriminating, all fair game. So I'm going to forewarn you.
I like it. I like it.
You ready? All right.
Ready.
What song did you play in your head or in your earbuds, if you had any, that got you pumped up when you were absolutely ready to, when you were in pain and sore? Anything?
It's not one song. I made two playlists. One of my playlists is all like Omi, chanty, mysticky type stuff, and the other one is like Metallica and Anthrax and Pantera and Tool and Korn and all that. So I'm actually faster nowadays on like the harpy music, if
Really?
shockingly enough. And if you were to lock me in a cage with like 10 dudes or a lion or something, I would want that kind of music playing in my ears. Whereas like 5 years ago, I'd say, oh, Metallica, like Metallica 1 or Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning. You know what I mean?
I love it, man. That's
All
great.
right. Oh, wait. Before you answer that, give me your favorite mystical song. Does anyone want to look up to see what pumps Monty Heath on? They could just.
I don't even know any of the songs, and none of the names are coming through right now. But basically, what you're looking for are the ohms, the chants, the medicine bells, or the bowls. Not a lot of words. I think like 432 megahertz might be the right number. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But you'll know it when you hear it.
You know, on these rapid fire, we started this. This is a theme now for all our podcasts. I've learned something new on every one of these, and you hit right out of the park, first one. So thank you.
Question number 2: best self-help trick you learned to keep yourself feeling your best.
Oh man, I want to say cardio, but I also want to say it's more in the mind in terms of. Well, let's go. I know this isn't rapid fire, but let's go here. When you're down in the dumps and you're feeling terrible, that's when you need to get out of the house and get sunlight into your eyeballs and move around on the earth, get some activity going. So especially when you don't want to. So the point there is even when you don't want to, that's when you have to get up and get outside and get moving. And I guess the internal thing is like stopping the internal chatter if it's negative, right? So like we have a movie playing in our head at all times, whether it's video or just audio or whatever that looks like for you. There's a talk track in our heads going at all times. And sometimes it's very negative. And if it is negative, I think we need to stop it and then go do something else positive and expect it to come back and do it again. Stop it, go do something positive, and expect it to sort of torment you with this negativity until it gives up, until you're like, nope, I'm done with that. I'm going to go for a walk. No, I'm going to go shoot some bullets. I'm going to go walk my dog. I'm going to go punch the punching bag. I'm going to go do whatever it is, but stop that internal negative talk track and do something positive.
Love it. I love that. Number 3, funniest moment on the trip.
So
He's
the
already
guy
laughing.
the guy I was telling you about, the MVP. There was a road closure, right? Like a detour, and he had to ride through gravel. And these bikes that we're riding are not set up for gravel. They're not gravel bikes. They're road bikes with skinny tires. So he's toughing it out in the gravel, and we're in front of him, just dusting him, just like creating a total dust cloud. And we sort of this is late at night. This is like 3 a.m. We're half asleep. Would it be 3 a.m.? Did we rotate at noon and midnight? I don't even know at this point, but it was like crazy late, and we're all half asleep, and our shift's almost over. I think we did go to 3 and 3. It wasn't. That's what it was. It's been a while. It was noon and midnight, but we actually switched to like 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. So it's like 2:30 in the morning. So anyway, our driver, because we're dusting him, thinks, well, I should just accelerate and just get ahead of him. So as he's trying to catch up and get in front of us because he's tired of being dusted, she basically peels out and just rocks him and hits him with gravel, and now he can't even see. And when he when he gets, can I say the F word? Is that all right on here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the guy never complained the whole trip. And when he came in from that, and his face is all dirt and rocked up and stuff, and my buddy Rob was like, how was that? And he goes, that was fucked up. That's all he said the entire trip. 7 days. That's his only complaint.
Oh my God, that's great. That's
and that was the extent of it. Like that was his entire rant, complaint over.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Question number 4. Now, I know you're a badass, and I know that you feel no pain, no anguish, no. There was no contemplating quitting.
I feel pain, but yeah, go ahead.
But what was one time that you said, "This shit hurts so bad"?
On the race?
Yep, on the race.
I forgot to put on chamois cream, which is basically cream for like your taint.
Ooh, yeah.
And I didn't do it for like 2 or 3 days. I normally use it, and I didn't use it for like 2 or 3 days. And I started to rub the inside of my skin very raw and off. And I was like, man, I got like another 4 days of this. This isn't cool. So I tried to stay ahead of it, get the cream going and dry it out and all. And it pretty much went away. But yeah, I had a good sore going there for a bit. And it's totally my fault. Like it's when you basically use the chamois cream, step 1. And step 2, when you feel any type of hot spots at all coming, like move out of the way, get that worked out right. Because if you just tough it out like I did, like you just open up a sore and then you sit on it for days.
Oh yeah, saddle sores are real.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
When I first started training, when I first started riding for this race, my sit bones, right, the bottom of my hips, my sit bones hurt so bad that I didn't even know that I rubbed skin off of my junk until I got into the shower and I was like, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The burn.
Yep.
Oh man, that's that hurts me thinking about it. All right, number 5, and I actually have a number 6, but let me give you a number 5. Number 5 would be, especially now that you're doing more coaching and you're probably going to do incredibly well. But what would be one coaching tip that you probably like the most that you would give a client when you're trying to get them moving?
I would say that discipline can be worked on. So don't beat yourself up if you don't have perfect discipline, and how you work on it is set small goals and complete those goals and pat yourself on the back and literally acknowledge that you completed the goal that you said you were going to and that you set out to complete. Because I have, at least with working out, like I guess most aspects of my life, I have damn good discipline, and not everybody has it. And I guess it comes to me naturally because I always want what I want. Like I really want what I want. I don't do things half-assed. I don't do things if I don't want to do them. So if I want to do them, like I'm all in, and I don't always see that with people. People are like sort of waffling. Like I want to feel better. But going to the gym is such a hassle. And you're like, do you want it or not? Like what is your why? That it goes back to that why. Like do you really care? Or like do you have a why that's worth the grind over or not? So establishing that why is important.
Man, you definitely need to meet with Will, the mental skills coach. You have all the natural inclination and thought process that really could help any athlete or obviously any military guy. You really got, it's great. I love hearing that. It motivates me. All right, Terry, I got one more question for him. It's just, Monty explains things so well and tells such a good story. I just want to hear number 6. What state that you rode through was your favorite, or what area of a state that was your favorite?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give a couple. So, California, it was the glass elevator. I got to do that, which is this incredible 12-mile descent that cars can't even keep up with me. And I was passing cars on my bike because of the turns. The turns are so tight, they're switchback turns, and cars would flip. And I'm passing cars, and I got a lot of it on video too, or they got a lot of it on video. I hit 54.9 miles an hour, and that was awesome and amazing. Did that during the daytime. Wolf Creek Pass was my second huge descent. That was at night. That was from 10,800 feet, and that was about a 10-mile descent. And the cars could just about keep up with me on that one because the turns weren't as tight. But there was one spot in there that you go through this tunnel. So you go through a tunnel through the mountain, and I was flying through there at like 45 miles an hour at like 2 a.m., 38 degrees. But that night, I had my cold stuff. I had everything on that I could possibly wear, and I was wind blocked up, and that was pretty awesome. And then I want to throw a negative one in there too. Once we got to like Ohio, Maryland, like I had it in my head like the mountains were over. Like I thought the mountains were over in West Virginia. I was so wrong. The mountains in Maryland are ridiculous. They're not tall, but they're just straight up and down. Like literally, not literally straight up and down. That'd be 90 degrees, but damn near literally straight up and down. I actually got off my bike. I got off my bike for about 20 yards because I was pushing like 640 watts going like 4 miles an hour. I'm like, I'm just going to get off and walk 4 miles an hour and not like put out 1,000,000% effort. And I was faster. It was literally faster. Anyway, my friends were like, you got off the bike? Like, what? You don't get off the bike on a bike race? I'm like, well, I rode across the country. I'm 30 yards short of getting across the country. How about that?
So did you go home and ride that extra little bit just to say you put in the miles?
I mean, I'll go do that today. How about that?
Yeah. The heck?
Oh, that was awesome. Hey, you did this. You set out to do this ride not just for yourself, but to raise awareness for the veterans, the first responders, and to help others. How is this ride leading to that goal, since you're goal oriented?
Yeah, well, all the money what we raised that wasn't spent on everything it takes to get 28 humans across the country for a week went to Guardian Revival. And they did get a nice chunk of money. Quite frankly, we didn't raise as much money as we wanted to, but that's why I'm going to continue to help him in the future, help him raise funds. This is a great organization. It was started by a team guy named Alex Othmer. They're up in New York. They have multiple programs. They have programs like Boots to Paws, which takes canines, whether they be companion dogs or service dogs, which is like 18 months of training, and give them to first responders and veterans in need. They have an outdoor program that involves hiking. They have a music program, and they spend their money well. So anytime I do anything for a nonprofit, I first check them on charitynavigator.org or guidestar.org and see how they spend their money. And they've got to be spending their money good, which is 75% or better on programming. You never want to see a nonprofit spend less than 75% on programming because it means they're wasting money. They're wasting money that ought to be going to the people that they say they're serving.
Good point. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Hey, Monty, let me ask you, your future plans, like I love the coaching thing because I think you're perfect for that. Is it about the physical aspect or the emotional or mental health aspect for you that drives you?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking because physical is just a part of it, right? I definitely, like, I don't want to just be like a athletic coach, although maybe athletic coaches could get in the mind. But I like the mind. I like talking about things. Surprisingly enough, because this is new to me. I wasn't much of a talker earlier in life at all. I was like that military communications, like short, brevity. The shorter the better. But I like to get into the aspect of the mind, and everything comes from the mind, right? Like, so if you look at a person who's 350 pounds That's not just a physical thing going on there. It's definitely between their ears, and there's a why there. There's definitely a why there. If it's a female, it's probably a much different why, or it could be a much different why. If it's a guy, it's a different why. And everybody's like, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. We're all different, so I don't want to categorize and throw people in a box too much. But I will say that discipline is between your ears. What you choose to do is between your ears. Like, get up late at night and go to the fridge, and there's a gallon of ice cream down in the freezer, or there's some vegetables. I don't know. I want the ice cream. I'll be honest. It's freaking amazing. But we can't eat ice cream all day and every day and expect to be in tip-top, healthy physical condition. So we have to look at things like delayed gratification, right? Mm-hmm. And investing in yourself. Think of yourself as a bank account. Your body's a bank account, making deposits and withdrawals, right? You drink a 6-pack of beer, you're making withdrawals. Right. You eat some celery or eat a salad or go for a 5-mile run, you're making deposits, right?
Yeah, but isn't beer have grain in it? So aren't you carbo loading?
You get some carbs out of beer. Yeah, I don't drink anymore. I drink my face off from age 12 to 44, but I haven't drinking in 2.5 years now. Yeah.
Hey, you talk about Guardians Revival, and I want to hear more about that. But it seems like Spencer keeps talking about this mental skills coach, Will, and at first he wasn't a sports psychologist. He wasn't like that. He got into these teams because he was their buddy, and he could speak their language because he was an athlete. He did special forces, and the athletes felt compelled to gravitate to him and just talk to him, and he had not only sympathy, but he had empathy, and he was able to be that bridge and eventually has taken to another career. You have been there. So have you thought of this world of mental skills coaching to go back to these Guardian Revival, to these team members who have come out and they don't know how, they're so on one side of the cavern, they don't know how to get back to the other side. Have you thought about being that buddy, that bridge to kind of guide them back and as a career?
I have, and I've also thought about other people. So in my opinion, I've really focused on the veteran for the last 8 or 9 years. I started to do first responder stuff. I can see myself getting back into kids. So I want to answer that question this way. I would probably really enjoy going to a sports team and being their whatever you want to. I'm not a psychologist, so I can't call myself a shrink, but whatever you want to call it, or go to the SEAL teams and help these people or help transitioning people. But I also want this might sound a little harsh, but I want fat people. I want underachievers. I want to help people that haven't crushed it in life, start to crush it. And unpack why they haven't, not spend a ton of time on why they haven't, because we're going to spend a ton of time on how we're driving forward positively in the future. But help people like that. So would I enjoy what you described? Absolutely. Do I also want to help some people that just have never been overachievers or super high performers? Yes, I do.
Oh, there's not great. We got to get this message out there that you could. There's no reason you should be looking for a job somewhere else. You should be sought after. You should have more than 30 people under your belt. I mean, to have that kind of passion and that knowledge and that never quit. And if I was a person that was just floundering a little bit, you're the kind of, you hate the term life coach, but you're the guy that people need to find. Well, I'm inspired. I'm not. I may have to put on a few pounds just so I can actually, use you. But you'd be the guy that everybody should go. And you have a calling, and it's in your soul.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I'm impressed. I'm really
definitely.
impressed.
Yeah,
and I have a feel. I'm going to ask the last question because Spencer's got some stuff in his head. But I follow you on Instagram. And you have inspired me quite a lot. So I just really, I do Spartan races, and there's a lot of time I don't feel like getting up because I'm sore. And I have a new mantra. It's like, what would Monty say? And before I even finish that sentence, I'm out of bed because I don't want you kicking my ass because I know you
what?
Would just.
I'm gonna take it a step further. Think about this. there's people that don't have legs that are like doing this stuff, right? There's people that don't have arms there's people that don't have arms that shoot bows with their toes and their teeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how on earth can we not get out of bed and work out when there's dudes like that are permanently paralyzed doing pull-ups with their wheelchair? You know what I mean? Like, get out of bed and work out. Like, these people are missing limbs and broken spines. And so anyway, yeah,
Does it drive you crazy when you go into like a park or any place now and everybody's sitting down staring at their phones all day long? They waste hours of their life watching somebody else live theirs.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. Humans are starting to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, what you just described, Monty, I read recently in a psychology, an article in a psychology magazine. There's a phenomenon called impact bias, and they wondered why the mental stability of someone who just experienced a monster crisis, like a loss of a loved one, or worse, loss of a limb, and why they seem to navigate back to a better health stability than someone who bitches and moans about some simple thing that's going on that they experienced through the day. And you got a lot of mental health issues going on right now with people that were dealing with the pandemic. But you look at stuff that you've been through, Monty, and going in the military and stuff. It just doesn't balance out,
right? It's perspective. Yeah. Here's a quickie.
Right.
I haven't met this guy yet, but I heard it on a podcast. He was an Army EOD guy, and he was patrolling through this area, and I think he was checking for mines, doing his job. Something happened, and he stepped on a landmine, and it took off both of his legs, above the knee. And the medic came running up to him, and he gets there, and this Army EOD guy that just blew himself up or just got blown up, he goes, "Kill me." He goes, "Fucking kill me." And the medic is like, no, dude. Like, no. Puts tourniquets on, and I think he said it again, maybe 2 more times. Like, I think he said it maybe like 3 times, like, "Kill me." Like, I'm not living this way. Was in a dark place, obviously. Spent some amount of time in that dark place, not too long. Came out of it. He was the first guy on the planet to ride his bicycle across the country, double amputee above the knee. He's got he had 2 prosthetics legs. He pedaled his bike across the country. Oh, so, like, you hear things like that, and you're like, I can't ever whine again. I can't complain again.
There's and I'm blanking on his name. I want to say he's from either Russia or Eastern. He's a preacher and evangelistic, no arms, no legs, and he just did a video of Top Golf, and he's holding the club in his chin and in his hip, and he hit the ball probably 100 yards, and he has no arms and no feet or no legs. And I'm like, I can't complain about a slice ever again.
Hey, Monty,
perspective.
Yeah,
right?
perspective is everything. That's the takeaway for today, is perspective. It really is. Monty, we're going to wrap up, but I do have a question for you that may make you a little uncomfortable. Is it true that your teenage son beat you at arm wrestling and you just haven't posted it yet?
Thank you for saying something like that. That is untrue. That little kid has not beaten me yet. What he has beat me in 3 times in a row is taking an 80-pound dumbbell and holding it at a 90 degrees on a preacher bench. And that little freak has outlasted me 3 times in a row. And he only weighs 146 pounds. So yeah, he can't beat me in arm wrestling yet, but it's coming, and I'm gonna try to stay ahead of it. Next year we're going to the nationals again, the national sit down arm wrestling championships, and he's gonna win it, take it to the bank. 165 and under in the novice division, and I'm winning 198 and under in the novice division. Take it to the bank.
That's awesome.
Wait. Why novice?
Because I've got no business with the pros. So I locked up with an old pro, like this guy that was like probably 60, my weight, but probably 60. And I couldn't move him. He couldn't move me, but I couldn't move him. And he said the perfect thing to me afterwards. He goes, you're really strong, but now you need to learn how to arm wrestle. And I was like, ooh, stinger, you know? But he was right. Like I did one thing. I had side pressure. First of all, there's like 12 different aspects to arm wrestling. Literally, there's a lot to it. And I knew one. I knew like over the top, you know, the Rocky movie or whatever, Sylvester Stallone movie, and cupping. Like this is cupping, right? But there's a lot of other things. There's supination. There's pronation. There's top roll. There's back pressure. There's all these things you can do. And I knew one, and now I don't want to say I'm good at them all, but at least I know them all. And yeah, so we're gonna crush it next spring.
Does it go novice, intermediate, and pro, or is it just novice and pro?
It goes novice, age group, pro, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
So you're not going age group. You're staying.
I could probably
novice.
hold my own in the age group, and I'm expecting to win the novice. I could probably hold my own in the age group. The pros, I'm not there yet. Those guys are really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the question, to follow up with Spencer's question, are you going to post right away when your son beats you, or are you going to hold it out for a while?
Yeah. Yes. I've never let my boys beat me at anything, ever.
Me neither.
And I'm not going to. And when they do, it's gonna be a big deal. Yeah.
So I was a cyclist, and when both my kids beat me, I came home and I almost cried. And my wife was like, "Aren't you proud?" I go, "No." I go, "It pisses me off." And I go, and they beat me so quick, and that was my sport. And when they both beat me, even Lance at one time, I mean, his first ride, he cried. He didn't want to go on it. And a couple years later, he crushed me. And I'm like, oh, I mean, part of you as a father is proud, but the male side of you is pissed off.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I get it.
I got nothing. I have a 22-year-old son, and he's completely out squatting me 315 for reps, and I just sit there and stare. I go, man, my kneecaps would blow off this if I tried to do that now.
It's so awesome. It's so awesome when they're a kid. We don't want to let our kids. A good father doesn't want to let their kids beat up. I never, let them win a game or anything like that. So when they actually do beat you, they earn it, and I think that's freaking awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, time to wrap it up.
So Monty, we're gonna leave you with we want to leave the audience with this. If they want to find you as a coach, and they want to find if you inspire them, they want to lose weight, they want to get motivated, they want to get out of their 2020, 2021 ditch, how do they find you?
Right now, shoot me an email. My website is under construction. I actually have my 16-year-old redoing it. So email. Ready? It's super easy. Monty@montyheath.com. Monty@montyheath.com. Done deal. And happy to work with anybody who wants to relentlessly pursue their potential.
Who would not want to work with a very decorated Navy SEAL who's also found a new passion? I mean, you'd be a fool not to want to work with a guy like you. So thank you for serving our country. Thank you for serving all the needs of the disabled mentally and physically. We're very lucky to have talked to you once, and to talk to you twice. It's a complete honor. So thank you for everything you do for everybody.
You're most welcome, and
Thanks,
I love your
Monty.
energy. It's always fun talking to you guys, and anytime.
Thanks, Monty.
Wonderful.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Crackin' Backs podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and make sure you follow our Instagram at Crackin' Backs Podcast. Catch new episodes every Monday. See you next time.